Alright, are we on? Are we going? Are we all good? Alright guys, hope yous are all good. How yous going? I have a wee treat for yous tonight. I've been doing a wee bit of homework into a wee project last few months, and I've got some research and stuff that I want to share with yous. Now, one of the things I saw, it keeps popping up every couple of months, is cannabis use can cause major problems to a man's sperm count. And other reports say heavy cannabis use will lower a man's sperm count. So we have a report here. Now this was took from earth.com, and it's from the 23rd of September, and it's saying here research has shown that moderate cannabis use can increase sperm counts, but another study found that THC in cannabis can lead to pronounced genetic changes in sperm, lowering it. Researchers from the University of Copenhagen may be closer to understanding why the effects of cannabis use on sperms are so varied. So that was up on Facebook the other week. But Earth.com, if you go back further on their page, I think, let's see, the second I have here. This is from the 2nd of February 2019, same website. Men who smoke cannabis found to have higher sperm counts. A new study found that surprisingly cannabis use in men did not harm sperm counts, and that men who are moderate cannabis smokers may actually have higher sperm counts compared to men who never smoked the drug before. Okay, so Earth.com, going back even further. This is from the 19th of December 2018. In terms of what it means for the developing child, we just don't know. A new study from Duke University Medical Center has revealed that the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis, known as THC, can have a major impact on sperm. The researchers found that THC triggers structural and regulatory changes in sperm that could possibly affect any children that are conceived. It goes on there to elaborate. It was only a study on 24 men, so we decided to put this to the test ourselves, and in true NI Cannaguy fashion, we done it right. So we got a volunteer who will remain anonymous, and we sent them to the Regional Andrology Service Fertility Centre with the Belfast Health and Social Care Trust. Now, they went ahead. The person that we used they're a very heavy cannabis user, and they're a perfect candidate because there's very little else substance abuse. So the first test they went to, and it was on the 2nd of May 2018 last year, and it was the sperm concentration, the morphology and the rapid progression are the three things you need to pay attention to. So the concentration is how many of the lads there was, and the morphology is if they're moving about, or they're just sort of sitting about going, hey, what's happening? And the rapid progression is how quick they'll move towards the egg or whatever. All three of these on the very first test were low. This test ended up comment sperm concentration values below 10 mil are approximate values. So it wasn't a very successful trip to the sperm bank for our volunteer on their first visit. Now we sent them again. Obviously one test isn't enough, and they did say they were extremely nervous going up to the thing, and it took them ages to go into the building and all the rest of it. So we're sort of maybe putting that down to stress and what have you. So we sent them again. Okay, now this second test, let's see, the same guy, results, comments, sperm concentration values below 10 mil or approximate values. RAS user manual is available on the Regional Fertility Centre website. Okay, so the morphology, let me see the first one because I have it marked. The sperm concentration on this low one here, the sperm concentration on the low one was 4.6. It needs to be higher than 15 to be a normal count. So 4.6 is really low. On this one, the sperm concentration was 31.2. So it's jumped up quite a bit. And the morphology was, it went from 0.5 on the low one, it went up to 4.0, and the rapid progression was 22.0 on this. It needs to be higher than 32%, and on this one the rapid progression was 43.0. So the second test was high, very high, compared to the first test being very low. Now preparation was the same. This person, as I say, heavy cannabis user. We didn't tell him to stop, we didn't tell him to do anything different, nothing like that. So test number 3. But I'm getting to test number 3. We found, talking to the doctor at the actual clinic themselves, they were very, very interested in what we were doing. Very, very interested. And we're in touch with them outside of the clinic now. But when we said about the first result being low, and would that be down to stress and anxiety about actually going, and a wee bit of embarrassment and stuff, the doctor actually said that the sperm that would have been left in the sample that day for the low test would have been made a good while before that morning, the day before, whatever. It was already made in the body, so it shouldn't really, your mental state shouldn't really make a difference to your sperm count. So number 3, I've got a proper thing here to show you as well, a proper research test. Well, I'll show you that first. Well, before we go to number 3, because we've had a low count, we've had a high count. What's number 3 has to be? It has to be the be all and end all for this guy. God love him. He was biting his fingernails off and everything waiting on test number 3, but it did come around, and we do have the results. The results for test number 3 are here. So what we're going to do is, I've done a bit of research. I've went online myself properly, and I've came across this. Now this is scientific report into the characterization and localization of the endocannabinoid system components in the adult human testes. This was published on the 27th of September 2019. This is bang up to date. Everything's there, all the what have yous. The introduction: possible adverse effects of cannabis, a commonly used recreational and medicinal drug, on male reproductive function are a matter of concern. So the blah 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 blah. I'll show you. This is the report. Okay, and there's wee diagrams and all on it. I've been reading this all weekend. So basically what they done was they set out to find out what the crack is, if cannabis is even present in the reproductive organs. So they did actually detect, after detecting the presence of endocannabinoid synthesizing enzymes in the testes, we then investigated whether the most common endocannabinoids AEA and 2/AG are produced within the testes. By MALDI, that's in capital letters, that must be abbreviated for something, imaging methodology, we first analysed differentially distributed lipids in main testicular compartments. So they're having a good hope about somebody's scrotum there. So anyway, let me see what we have here, the summary, because that's the main thing. Okay, the summary of this report, and I'll link the report underneath this, because it's 30 odd pages, but it's really, really interesting. I'll put the link in underneath this video. In summary, we have characterized the localization of main components of the endocannabinoid system in the human testes, and the emerging picture is illustrated systematically in figure 6. There's a whole pile of weird diagrams with this thing. Blah 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 blah. The receptor signaling at these stages requires further investigations, but it nevertheless appears that CNRI or its isoforms may be enriched in spermatocytes for an immediate action in specific functions related to chromatin changes during meiosis and spermiogenesis. So, in summary, there's a hell of a lot of information there, but they're basically saying it is present, it's there, the endocannabinoids are there in and around the reproductive system, but what they're actually doing and which cannabinoid specifically is doing what is what they're going to have to move on to. So, without further ado, test 3 for our test subject. Okay, so the results are in. This was done on the 26th of June 2019. The collection method was masturbation, and again, it was up at the andrology service at Belfast City Hospital, or is it the Royal? I think it's the Royal Victoria Hospital. Right, so let's just get straight to it. The sperm concentration must be higher or lower than 15. The sperm concentration on test 3 was 36.40. Smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. The morphology, higher or lower than 4. It actually was bang on 4. So that's another tick. That's a good one. And the rapid progression must be higher or lower than 32%. The rapid progression for test 3 was 45.0. So the third test was even better than the second test, and it was a high sperm count. So first off, thanks very much to our anonymous donor. I know they had fun, but I'm sure it was a bit anxious as well. One thing they did say was that the nurses up at the andrology centre are a wee bit more attractive than the ones in the other wards, and I don't know what he means by that, but anyway, what we can tell from that is heavy cannabis use does not lower your sperm count, but what it actually does to it is up in the air. According to this research, a whole bunch of scientists' names attached to that. I'll link it in. Let us know what you think of our own wee bit of research that we've done. The paperwork's all here. If I've got anything wrong with explaining or pronouncing, just let me know. I don't think I've done a video yet without a mistake in it, but I would say I've had the question. People have sent it to me. It's usually women that would say, my husband, he smokes way loads, and we're trying to conceive, and would that be a factor? And the answer to that is no. It's not going to be a factor, not according to our own tests here. Heavy cannabis use isn't going to lower the sperm count. But if anybody else wants to take up the bat and keep this wee bit of research going, we would love to hear your results. So guys, as always, thanks for listening. Stay medicated. Stay green.